Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to today's tutorial. On today's tutorial, we're making this beautiful crop top, which I adjusted to fit what I needed. But if you want the exact thing on the picture, please keep watching. I'll tell you how to get it. Now, for us to alter this pattern, we have to make sure the side of the front and back would be equal because we are not going to need our bust that. So what I'm doing now is going in by 0.5 and then connecting my neckline, and I'll do the same thing for the back as well. So after that, you go ahead and cut it out. So if you want the exact triangle shape like this, instead of going up by 2 inches, you go up by 5 inches and then you connect like I'm doing in the video. At this point, I was kind of confused on what I really wanted to do. So when you connect this, you make sure that your sides of the front and the back matches together, because we would not be needing our bust that. So this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to minus 1 inch and then connect it again like so. So if you want a deeper triangle, so this is how it will look like. So what I'm doing here is just making sure to match up my sides and make sure it matches up, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. I was really tempted to go up, but I wanted to make something I was going to wear and not just make and just keep it in my wardrobe. Now for the sleeve, we're going to fold our pattern into two, and then we draw our border line, and then we draw our cap height, which is our bust divided by 12, and then you go ahead and draw the length of your sleeves. So the shortcut I usually use, I'll go ahead and measure my armhole, and then I will draw the exact line like I'm doing in the video. I'll just draw it in the shape of the sleeves, and please do not forget to give your allowance so it's not too small. It's better for you to just trim it than it's going to be too small. So after you connect that, you take your round arm measurement and then divide by 2, place it on your sleeve length. Mine was 5 inches, then I'll connect it. Make sure you also add your sewing allowance. Because it's a petal sleeve, you want it to be a little bit free, and I didn't do that, so mine was just a little bit tight. So what I would do is I will just connect from that's my cap height, I'll connect it all the way down, and that's how I'll cut my sleeves. So what I'm doing here is just taking my allowance for joining, and I'll do the same and take my hemming allowance for the sleeve as well. Then you go ahead and cut it out. Now we're going to open up our sleeve pattern to cut out our petal sleeves. So we're going to get our midpoint. From our midpoint, we're going to measure 5 inches towards the front and then mark it. We'll go down our sleeve. From our midpoint, we go in by 2 inches before we go ahead and connect with the curve. Now you go ahead and add your sewing allowance, which is 0.5 inch around that area, and then you cut it out. Now for the other part of the sleeve, you're just going to turn it facing your pattern paper like I'm doing in the video, and then you go ahead and trace it out. Then you go ahead and cut it out. Now you have 2 pieces for one side, and you're going to need 2 pieces for the other side, which is a total of 4 pieces for the sleeves. Please do not forget to notch the midpoint of your sleeves so you do not get confused. The reason for the notch is so you can match the notch together and have a piece like this. Now this is exactly what you have for one part of the sleeve. So you're going to need exact same thing for the other side of the sleeve as well. Now we have all the pieces to make our top. Let's get cutting. So now we're going to cut our front pattern, and do not forget to add your sewing allowance, which is 1 inch, and your hemming allowance, which is 0.5 inch. So I'm going to cut this on the main fabric, and I'll also cut this on the lining as well. Please don't forget to notch your darts, and you also do the same thing for the back pieces as well. Now you go ahead and cut the sleeves. You need 2 each. So you need 2 pieces each, which is a total of 4 pieces, 2 for the side and 2 for the other side. And yes, notch please. If you have gotten to this point, please do not forget to leave a thumbs up for me. Thank you. So for our rope, I'm going to cut it 40 inches long and 2 inches wide. Now we've cut out all our pieces. Let's move to sewing our pieces together to make a beautiful crop top. Yay! So the first thing we are going to do is sew our dart. We're going to sew our dart for our main piece and our lining piece as well. And we're going to repeat the same thing to the back pattern as well. That's sewing of our dart. Remember that you have like a notch that will help you know at the exact place your dart is. That is why the notch is always advisable. So after we finish sewing, you want to go ahead and iron it so it stays really flat. And then after that, you are going to join the front to the back pattern by 1/2 inch on the shoulder and 1 inch on the side. We are going to repeat this exact same thing for the lining piece as well. So these are all the sides you should sew on your main fabric and your lining piece as well. And so when you open it up, it should look exactly like this. So now we are going to join our fabrics together. We're going to join our main fabric to our lining piece, or our lining piece to our main fabric, whichever way. So you're going to match up the shoulders at the back like I'm doing in the video. Before you go ahead and sew it, just make sure everything is equal and is on point. Now we are going to sew it all the way from our back to the other side of our back. Yeah. After sewing it, I went ahead to notch, and then I'll go ahead to top stitch on my lining piece like I'll show you right here. So you're going to top stitch on your lining piece. Now we're going to go ahead and sew our zipper opening on both sides before we go ahead and sew the down part of our top, and then we top stitch the lining like we did for our neckline. I've gone ahead to sew my rope. What I just did, I just folded it and sewed it in a way that the rough edges isn't showing. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to place my rope inside, in between my lining and my main piece like I'm doing in the video. So I'm just making sure the side that has the top stitch is facing towards the down. Make sure your rope is in between the lining and the main piece so it's not like outside. Now we are going to sew this part, and then we'll go ahead and top stitch this part as well. So after sewing, we're going to go ahead and turn it inside out. Then from our armhole, because we didn't close our armhole, now from our armhole, we are going to go ahead and then top stitch our lining piece. And for this to be easier, you can just top stitch the lining piece before you go ahead and close your zipper allowance. So after doing this, you're going to have to iron it down so it stays really flat. I love to iron while I sew, so it is very neat. So this is what you have right now. If you're the type that do not like sleeve, you just go ahead and use your bias tape to close up the rough edges of your armhole and then fix your zip and you're done. But for this, we're going to add our zipper first before we go ahead to add our sleeves. After you finish sewing your zipper, you want to cut off the excess and then fold and sew it, so when you zip up, the zip does not come off. So when I tried it on earlier, I noticed that it was gaping a little. You want to try it on before you close up everything. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking 0.25 inches around the neckline, and then I'll sew the shoulder, and I'll repeat the same thing for the other side as well. If yours is perfect, please skip the step. Now we're going to join our sleeve to our lining piece. So we want to join everything and leave the side opening for us to bring out our sleeves to the right side. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and also iron. So that's why I didn't show you here because I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. Now this is what you should have. You go ahead and place it on each other, and then you go ahead and just sew the top of the sleeve before you sew it on your dress top. Sorry. So again, I missed some tape. I'm having troubles with my phone. I'm really sorry. So what I did here was just to pin my sleeve to my top, and after doing that, I'll go ahead and sew it. Make sure you match up your midpoint to your shoulder point before you go ahead and sew it as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel today. I hope you found the tutorials helpful in your sewing journey. Please do not forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Happy sewing!